Child support in Washington is based on worksheets. We have these worksheets we use. We look at income. There's certain expenses that are factored in, taken out, different deductions. Calculating child support is pretty straightforward, I would say, for the most part. The one thing that is so interesting from at least a lawyer's perspective, the law recently changed. We historically looked at child support and it was capped. People's income was capped at $12,000 a month. Obviously, in the Seattle area, that's not realistic. We have all these people who are earning way beyond that. And so now we're looking at a $50,000 a month cap. So it is going to be a very different matrix when we're running these numbers and seeing what your child support is going to be. But it is important that you, if you have a current child support order, or if you are needing to modify your current order, you want to talk to an attorney because these changes are likely going to impact you. If you currently have a child support order in Washington and you want to modify it, you can absolutely do that, but there's going to be some things that you need to happen for you to be able to do that. We call it a substantial change of circumstances. And so you are going to want to come in, talk to an attorney, and make sure you understand what are the reasons that would allow for modification and what are the reasons that would not. Sometimes people say things like, well, I moved and I got an apartment and now I have 2 bedrooms and not one, or I have 2 baths, not one. You might not get to change your child support obligation because of that. Or if you're on the receiving end, you might not get an increase in your child support because of that decision that you made. You have to come in and understand. One of the big issues, though, in Washington regarding child support has to do with secondary education costs. Many cases are reserved on that, where there's been no order put in place on how are we paying for college for this family. What is that going to look like? So if you have a child in high school, I actually recommend talking to an attorney in that freshman or sophomore year so you can understand what needs to be done later to make sure you're addressing the college issue, because that is a big issue when we're looking at modification of child support. So if you are under a child support order and you expect child support, the first of every month or maybe even twice a month, and you don't get it, that's concerning, because that means some of your children's basic needs are likely not being supported. It is quite important that you reach out to an attorney. If you had an attorney maybe through your divorce, you could reach out to that attorney and see what can be done to get that child support flowing again. And if your spouse is not registered with the state where that child support money is coming out of their pay automatically, that might be something you want to consider. Because if you're relying on somebody to write you a check every month and they are proving to lack integrity and not do that, you have to do what is necessary to protect your children. Child support is truly such a basic expense. It is about a roof over your children's head, food in their belly, and clothes on their back. And if you are not getting that support that you are entitled to under your child support order, speak up and let's get that worked out. Your children are owed that. In Washington, one of the issues that comes up in child support a lot has to do with deviations. So if your attorney runs the worksheets and tells you, this is what you're responsible for, that might not be the end of the story. If your family has been operating under a certain way, maybe your children are in private school, maybe you've been paying for tutoring, maybe they're involved in, kind of fancy extracurriculars, club sports, travel sports programs. Somebody might come in and ask for a deviation, like an upward deviation from what's available in the child support tables. So it's very important that you talk to an attorney to understand what things might be allowed in a deviation and what might not be allowed in a deviation. Because often, let's face it, sometimes you're getting divorced because you don't agree on how to run finances and you don't agree on how to parent the children. These deviations can often be at the crux of many of the issues that are actually causing the divorce. Don't let this turn into a bigger issue. Talk to an attorney, understand what your rights and obligations are, and let's get that child support flowing where your children are not suffering from this conflict. If you have any questions about child support in Washington, post-secondary support, it is so important that you reach out, talk to an attorney, make sure you understand. And so call us. We are happy to discuss these issues with you. And it's important to know that child support can change regularly every 2 years. So it is very important that you stay on top of this. Reach out, get some help.